Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. Thank you for joining me. In this segment today, we're going to discuss things that you should have in your survival sleep supply stash. We're also going to cover reasons why people do not sleep and maybe some things that you can do to help you sleep better. So obviously, a lot of people are having issues with their sleep for various different reasons. You probably landed at this video because you yourself are having issues sleeping, or you are sharing a sleep space with someone who is having issues sleeping and it's affecting you, being the highly empathic and empathetic person that you are. So of the reasons that people have issues sleeping, chronic pain is up there, but also nervous system depletion and general sleep disturbances, circadian rhythm, and psychological issues. So we're going to discuss a few things that you can have in your supply stash that are going to help you with that. So first, let's talk about chronic pain. Obviously, I am not doing this video to address chronic pain issues. Most people have specialists who are dealing with that for any amount of time. But for people who do deal with chronic pain, having a regular pattern of medication and having their regime is important in order for them to stay regulated. However, there are a couple things that I want you to understand. For people who deal with chronic pain, their nervous system, particularly people who are medicated with opiate narcotic pain medicine management, these people are dealing with such severe strain upon their nervous system that their nerves are practically running in a chronically malnourished state. Because you have to understand something, when people are dealing with any sort of pain, and this, even though this may not be you, like with a diagnosed pain disorder, you could be dealing with things just at the level where you're chronically dealing with, for instance, neck pain or low back pain, or something dealing with your posture at work because you sit like this in a chair, or you're standing up all day doing whatever it is. Whenever we're dealing with chronic stress and also chronic pain, our nerves are not being fed enough, essentially. And so for that reason, I want to cover a couple things that I think are really important for you to have. And of them, Oat Straw. I have spoken about Oat Straw, and I'll put links to all this in the description box below so that you can find it for yourself and do your own research. But Oat Straw and also Valerian, these herbs belong in a class of herbs called nervines. And essentially what I want you to think about these herbs as is nerve food. And when anyone is dealing with stress, with any kind of chronic depletion and strain upon the nervous system, people who live very active lifestyles, like people like flight attendants, pilots, anyone who's constantly being stressed, strained, really need to consider having nervine herbal support as part of their regime. So oat straw is rich in a bunch of different minerals, silica it's rich in also, but basically think about it as food specifically for the nervous system. Anytime that a person is dealing with chronic pain, their body is essentially running through its nerve food faster. And so in order for us to replenish the structures of the nerves and to make sure that they're getting nourished, we need to make sure that we're incorporating things in that. And so in addition to oat straw, there's also valerian root. You can actually get this at Walgreens and it's pretty good. So the valerian root that's in here is not a standalone. It is paired together with hops, passion flower, and lemon balm. And so of course you can find whatever is going to work for you with these valuable herbs as an adjunct. But I do recommend that you seek out nerve food and nervous system support if you're dealing with this. Now, something that a lot of people may not consider is that in addition to feeding the nerves herbal food, we also need to look at vitamins and minerals in particular that are going to nourish the structure and also support proper circulatory balance to ensure that the nerve bundles themselves are getting appropriate blood flow. And for that reason, it's very important to consider supplementation with a B complex. Now, this is from Now, and I'll put that in the description box, this link. So the B vitamins, you have to understand, they're kind of like the Brady Bunch. They need to be paired together in order for maximum absorption into the bloodstream. But of the B vitamins in particular, there's a couple of them that are very important. One of them is riboflavin, and the other one is niacin. And so niacin, if you take it by itself in isolation, a particular isomer of niacin can actually cause you to flush. And you will definitely know if you have gotten anything other than the slow release niacin. But this is a good general complex in the mixture that I use to help support proper nervous system health vis-a-vis the circulatory system support. And you can usually find people who are running chronic B vitamin deficiencies with sleep disturbances. So this is something to consider in your herbal support. Now, we talked about chronic pain as well. If you don't have a rapid release over-the-counter pain medication, I recommend that you do that. This is basically the generic rapid release Tylenol, and it's something that's very valuable, and I would recommend that you keep some of it in your stores for sure. If you're not so much into that, let me recommend two other things. You have Biofreeze, which is really good topical support for like neck, back, shoulder, and then also I call it the Angry Man oil. It's the young pure oil, and I'll put a link to this also. I discovered this when I was in Thailand some years ago, and it has been my friend through many, many challenging nights and short sessions of sleep. Now, this may seem like, why are you mixing together pain issues and sleep, Patriot Nurse? Because a lot of people who deal with sleep disturbances are dealing with pain, and I want to address that. But also I want to talk about just general nervous system strain and psychological issues. We are living in a time where we are such an instant gratification culture, and we are constantly bombarded with tech, screens, lights, that we are not really functioning in the way that our ancestors have for thousands of years. Up until the last 100 and some odd years, when the sun went down, people went to sleep. And the only lights that they had were either lights from some sort of fuel source, like a kerosene lantern, or lights from a candle, which is a completely different spectrum of light hitting your eyes than harsh overhead lights, and in particular, fluorescent lights. And so for that reason, I think it's very reasonable to consider your overall screen time exposure and light exposure in the equation too, if you're having trouble sleeping. And that's one of the things that we tend to do is like, oh, I'll stare at the screen and scroll through things before we try and go to bed, and then wonder why we're laying there for hours and hours on end not sleeping well. That may be something you need to consider. And so practically in my life, where I have attempted to walk this out, is to completely turn off the overhead lights and only use the standalone like lamps if I'm going to be up later, and then try and incorporate candlelight or some sort of more natural light as best as possible. One more thing that I want to cover with you all is an herbal support mixture from Dr. Christopher's, and this is the Ear and Nerve formula. Ear and Nerve formula. And the Ear and Nerve formula is particularly valuable for people who are dealing with nervous system depletion. I have ended up using it actually for times where I've been in so much discomfort and maxed out on the over-the-counter pain medicine that I could take, and obviously not wanting to take any more. This actually has been a very good friend to me, even though it wasn't in particular formulated for pain issues. It has been particularly helpful for me, and its ingredients are black cohosh, blue cohosh, organic blue vervain, skullcap, and lobelia. Lobelia is, of course, the thinking herb. It's a fantastic herb to consider learning more about and keeping in your formulary, because it is an amphoteric herb. That's a long mouthful there. For those of you with a pharmacology background, you'll love that one. Amphoteric basically means it's an intelligent search and destroy herb. Search in the sense that it will find out what's needed. It'll destroy the negative things and support the good things. So, and it tends to help target the herbal actions of other herbs that are introduced in the same formulary. So don't be surprised if you see lobelia in a lot of different herbal mixtures, because it is considered the thinking herb, and it helps other herbs to do their job better. Think about it that way. And so I hope that's been helpful for you in the midst of everything. A couple last points that I want to add into the equation. Make sure that you have a quality supportive mattress, because a lot of people will get to sleep, but they will not stay asleep because they'll toss and turn, because basically their spine is not properly aligned. And getting a good quality mattress that's a good fit for you and your needs, that's going to help you. A pillow is another thing too. I mean, your neck being supported in your head is a lot of this equation too. And so I'm hopeful that this will help give you some practical things to store in your survival and prepper stores, because really when it comes right down to it, we do need to be investing in our sleep, because when people don't sleep, their morale suffers, their overall efficacy, definitely their combat effectiveness is going to suffer. And so if you want to really pay into and contribute into the investment quality of your group and of your overall quality of life in rough times, you definitely want to consider these things as part of an overall strategy to support your sleep. I hope that was helpful for y'all. If you did enjoy the video, I hope you'll subscribe to me here on YouTube, Patriot Nurse. You can also stay with me on Patreon, subscribe to our cryptocurrency, and PayPal. I have links in the description box below. If you enjoy learning about the herbs and about how to pair them together with different things, you would probably really enjoy my classes that I teach in person. I teach 2 and 4 day classes. The 4-day classes are where I get into the nutrition, herbs, and old school disease. And you can find my full live training schedule at ThePatriotNurse.com. If you can't get to a live training event, but you'd like to train with me online, I also also offer an online course that's 4 hours and it's $129. You can find that at ThePatriotNurseAcademy.com. Thank you so much for your attention and your time, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Mwah! Bye.